When Isla Marin met Callum Voss, she thought she'd found a partner, not a puppeteer. He was brilliant, articulate, and disarmingly confident, the kind of man who made everyone in the room feel slightly less certain of themselves. Isla, soft-spoken but fiercely creative, had just launched a small online brand selling handmade perfumes. She poured her heart into every scent: lavender for courage, sandalwood for truth, cedar for healing. Callum said he admired that. He offered to help her grow. He knew people. He said investors, designers, distributors. All she had to do was let him handle the complicated stuff. At first it felt like teamwork. They stayed up late planning marketing campaigns, sketching bottle designs, talking about their future. But slowly, her name began to fade from conversations. He'd tell people, "We're launching my new fragrance line." He'd say, "I've been developing this brand for months." It wasn't malicious at first, just dismissive, until it wasn't. One afternoon, Isla overheard him on the phone saying, "She's just the creative front, I run the business." Her hands trembled. She pretended not to hear. When she confronted him later, he smiled that cool, careful smile of his. "Don't get emotional, Isla. You're good at creating pretty things, but you'd be lost without me." He said it like a fact, and maybe, at that time, it was true. Weeks turned into months. Callum changed all the logins for security reasons. He told her clients to direct all communication to him. And when she asked about invoices, he said, "It's just easier this way. You're not really a numbers person." One night, they attended a gala celebrating local entrepreneurs. When his name was called for Innovator of the Year, Isla felt the floor tilt beneath her. He went on stage, thanked the panel, then turned toward her and said, "And to my girlfriend, who inspired this brand, she's the heart, I'm the head." Everyone applauded. Isla smiled through the humiliation. When they got home, she asked quietly, "Why did you say it's your brand?" He looked up from his phone, unimpressed. "Because it is. Without me, you wouldn't have a business. You're powerless without me." The sentence hit like glass breaking in her chest. He walked away that night without another word, leaving her sitting in the dark. The next morning, Isla tried to log into her business account. Denied. Email, locked, bank access, gone. In the drawer where they kept their documents, one folder remained a contract transferring ownership of everything to Callum Voss. Signed, dated, and notarized. She didn't remember signing it, but she remembered the night he poured her wine and said, "Just sign these tax forms. I'll handle the rest." He hadn't handled them. He'd buried her beneath them. For days, she barely moved. Her friends called. Her mother begged her to come home, but she couldn't bring herself to speak. Then one evening, as the sun fell through the blinds, Isla whispered the words that would change everything. "Powerless, huh?" She started again alone. She took online business classes, studied trademark law, learned branding, logistics, and finance. Every night, she filled notebooks with lessons. Every morning, she looked in the mirror and promised herself she'd never be that naive again. She built quietly under a new name, Mira Wren, and Mira Wren fragrances began to bloom. At first, small boutiques, then luxury hotels, then an international distributor. Her perfumes, soft, haunting, and elegant, became the talk of the industry. Meanwhile, Callum Voss's company began to unravel. His arrogance turned investors away. His clients grew suspicious. And when his largest backer suddenly withdrew their funding, the empire cracked. The backer's name? Mira Wren Holdings. Isla didn't need to gloat. She simply watched as everything he'd built on stolen ground collapsed beneath him. When the headlines finally broke, Voss Industries files for bankruptcy amid fraud investigation. Isla closed her laptop, leaned back, and whispered. 2 months later, a gold-embossed invitation arrived, the Continental Fragrance Awards Gala in New York. Mira Wren was shortlisted for Innovator of the Year, the same title Callum once held. Isla smiled, tracing her finger across the paper. "Full circle," she murmured. When she entered the ballroom that night, dressed in soft silver satin, heads turned. No one recognized her as the woman Callum once dismissed. She carried herself differently, now quieter, steadier, untouchable. The lights shimmered, music swelled, and laughter filled the air. Then, a familiar voice behind her froze her mid-step. "Excuse me," he said. "You look familiar." Callum. He looked thinner. Tired arrogance drained into desperation. The confidence that once filled every word now cracked around the edges. "Mira Wren," she said, offering a polite hand. He blinked, searching her face. "You remind me of someone I used to know." "Maybe," she said. "Maybe not." He chuckled awkwardly. "Well, Mira, it's nice to meet you. I'm actually between projects. Maybe we could collaborate?" She tilted her head. "Partnerships require trust, Mr. Voss, and trust takes time to rebuild." He frowned. "Rebuild?" But before he could ask more, the host's voice echoed through the hall. "And this year's Innovator of the Year award goes to Mira Wren Fragrances." The audience erupted in applause. Isla walked gracefully to the stage, her heels clicking like punctuation marks to a story that had finally reached its ending. She looked out across the crowd faces glowing under chandeliers, eyes full of admiration, and began. 3 years ago, I was told I was powerless without someone. I believed it for a while. But power isn't something you're given, it's something you reclaim, quietly, when no one's watching. The applause grew. She met Callum's eyes across the room, pale, stunned, motionless. "To anyone who's ever been erased from their own story," she continued, "write yourself back in, even if you have to start on a blank page." The crowd rose in a standing ovation. Callum's glass slipped from his hand and shattered against the floor. Later, he approached her backstage, eyes hollow. "Isla," he whispered. "You." She turned, calm, centered, radiant. "You remember me now?" He nodded weakly. "I lost everything." She folded her arms. "No, Callum, you lost me. Everything else was collateral." He swallowed hard. "Did you do this?" She smiled faintly. "No, you did. I just stopped protecting you from the consequences." He looked at her, realization dawning the investor, the quiet withdrawal, the bankruptcy. It had all been her. "You ruined me." "No," she said softly. "I freed myself." That night she went home and opened the letter that arrived the next morning. A single sentence written in his uneven hand. "You were never powerless. I was." She folded it once, tucked it in a drawer, and whispered, "You finally got something right." Then she returned to her desk, surrounded by soft music, fresh flowers, and open windows letting in the night air. Her company thrived, ethical, successful, alive with purpose. She didn't chase revenge anymore. She didn't need to. Because true revenge isn't in taking something back. It's in building something that no one can take away again. And as she looked out over the city, lights glimmering like scattered promises, Isla Marin, once powerless, smiled. She had taken everything he built, but more importantly, she had rebuilt herself. If you felt this story, please like, comment, and subscribe for more calm, emotional storytelling tales of strength, healing, and the quiet power of rising again.